Rules, rules, and more rules. But if you own a condo, thinking about purchasing a condo or a condo hotel or a property in an HOA, you're definitely going to want to watch this video because a bunch of new rules came into play, laws, effective July 1st, 2024. Old Governor DeSantis signed into law. So stay tuned to this video. I've also got some other upcoming content about the condo market, specifically as it relates to luxury properties selling. There was an article in the Sarasota magazine stating the luxury market is in quote unquote full swing. I'm not sure, these are not the exact words. The luxury market is in full swing, but the condo market is soggy. So I'm going to do a separate video on that, but stay tuned to this video about the condo laws. By the way, this is Payne Park. I'm actually a little embarrassed to admit I have not actually been here, and it's right downtown. I've driven by this place a million times, but yeah, right downtown Sarasota, Florida. So I have not even read anything with the video topic that I'm going to be talking about. So you're hearing it fresh just like I am. So last Thursday, the governor vetoed a controversial bill on the long contentious short-term rental issue. Half a dozen new Florida real estate related laws go into effect on Monday, which is yesterday as of the date of this filming. So it's July 1st, 2024. I think the main complaint from owners here is that they don't want to live in a community that's like a hotel. And if you live here full time, you don't really want to be like living in a hotel environment. You want to get to know your neighbors. And if it's entirely all rental property, that to me doesn't sound appealing. It tends to drive the value down in some areas because tenants don't care as much as an owner would, and they don't maintain properties as well. So yes, there's a time and place and location for that, and it's a beautiful thing, but I can't say that I blame people for having started some of these complaints. So late Thursday, DeSantis voted a bill tied to the controversial issue of short-term rentals booked through websites like Airbnb and VRBO. Again, I'm a proponent. I have a rental property, and I definitely am not a short-term. I'm a mid-term rental property. It's a 1 month minimum, but for people that want to run it like a hotel, I mean, I kind of get it, you know. Senate Bill 280 would have restricted the number of people who can stay in a short-term rental. I'm a fan of that, because there should be a maximum occupancy for every property. Like, I'm not here to have 27 people in my tiny little house and destroying it and not caring about it. There should definitely be rules like that. I agree. And it would have trumped most county and municipal regulations imposed so far. The legislation aimed to curb party houses. That's exactly it. The last thing I would want is a party crowd at my house too. So that's why I don't, first of all, the property that I have is ordinanced for 1 month minimum anyway, and my insurance is reflected of that, and I'm following the rules, girl, you know? And if you're staying there a month, you're not having a month-long rager. It's just not usually what's gonna happen there. The legislation aimed to curb party houses, as I said, limited occupancy to 2 people per bedroom and 2 more people in a common area, such as a living room. Okay, so that makes sense. Lawmakers this year have ramped up repercussions against condo and homeowners associations, board members, and managers, including imposing criminal penalties for those who go rogue. I love how they use the word rogue. Ooh, we're so bad. Okay, the legislation is in direct response to the tidal wave of complaints against leaders by residents who live in these communities. And again, if it's rampant in your community, there should certainly be maximum rental, like a maximum percentage of how many owners in that community can rent at any given time. I do like that because, again, if someone's coming down here for peace and quiet and they just want to chill and live their best retirement life or second home life or primary residence life, like, they should be able to do that. And, you know, generally when there's like more renters that are like this, like we're talking like the weekly, the party time crowd, right? They're going to be louder, more rambunctious, because you know what? They're leaving and they don't have to face you people. So yes, we're a fan of this. So tidal wave of complaints across South Florida. Homeowners have alleged various types of mismanagement, including election meddling. Ooh, you had me at election. Excessive assessment increases, because again, they're not taking care of it. They're breaking gates. They're breaking things. Well, who's going to pay for that? The owners do. And everybody pays for that, not just the people that are renting their property. Little to no property maintenance and fraud, usually in the form of fund misappropriation. I'm so far so good. I'm a fan of all this. The biggest alleged fraud case is the Hammocks, a West Kendall Communities. That's one of the biggest HOAs in Florida. Well, we have a couple of Hammocks this year. I have a listing in the Hammocks. I don't know if it's the same place. I don't think that's the same one. In 2022, a former board president, her husband, and 3 other ex-board members were arrested over allegations they ran a massive scheme. Are we on an episode of Dateline right now? I feel like we are. The ex-board members allegedly hired bogus contractors who did not work on the 3,800-acre property and then misappropriated payments made to the fake contractors from associations, accounts, according to the arrest affidavit. Wow, that's a big, that's a big deal. Why are people so shady? Which, listen, I'm here to sell Sarasota and Florida, obviously, but I do watch a lot of Dateline, by the way, and it's like half of this stuff is happening in Florida. So, all right, moving on. The HOA legislation, HB 1203, and the Condo Association legislation, HB 1012, I don't know what any of those numbers mean, implemented the same criminal penalties, including for accepting kickbacks and hiding records. I mean, the stringent penalties came after lawmakers watered down a similar proposal in last year's session. The HOA law specifically targets issues the Hammock residents and... Sorry I'm reading this, but this is news. I think it's important stuff to note. Investigators of the ex-board's dealings faced. You know, this reminds me of when there's so many complaints and things happening, it just ends up coming out of everybody else's pockets, right? Paying for the issues at hand. It's like when we had the roofers defrauding homeowners, that's one of the main reasons why our insurance in Florida has gone up. It's not necessarily the storms. It's because the schemy roofing companies went door to door, acted like they had to replace these roofs when they didn't. It was all a fraud. And attorneys got paid, and we get left in the dust paying more for insurance companies leaving. Couple that with the storms, which is an actual, you know, natural disaster, and, you know, things end up skyrocketing in the cost. So Florida's becoming more and more expensive to live here, and you've got these rules. That's why, you know, contracts used to be 3 pages long. That's why contracts become so much longer, because of all the fraud and nonsense, because there was probably an issue that created that line in the contract to begin with because of people being shady, you know? So the condo law also addresses a common complaint among residents. Ooh, what is that? Over the years, many have said that their associations either sue them or send them cease and desist letters after they speak out against board members or management companies. Okay, suing, at the end of the day, attorneys always win. Not to get off on a super tangent, but it's true, because like, look at the NAR settlement where now we have to do buyer broker agreements. I have a whole separate series of videos about that, but the plaintiffs ended up winning, but the plaintiffs, because it was a class action lawsuit, ended up getting like $10 to $20 per complainant, because it was a class action with all the people in it. So at the end of the day, the attorneys won all that money. Do you think the actual complainants actually got any of that money? It was pennies on the dollar. So you know, when you start doing legal things and attorneys get their hands on things, that's where we all end up paying for it. But I guess that's the state of the world we live in. Everybody's so happy. The mixed use complexes include hotel rooms, spas, pools, retail and restaurants, as well as common areas as elevators, landscaping, and roofs, collectively known as common areas. You know, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to read this whole thing, but it sounds to me, just in kind of perusing this language here, that the law applies to counties with at least 75,000 residents and municipalities with at least 10,000 residents, as well as localities with more than 25 contiguous acres of land. Lawmakers passed changes to the state-backed insurance company Citizens. By the way, if you don't need to get Citizens, don't. It's state-run, which is usually poorly run. Like I said, give me a comment and send questions if you have questions about not just this, but just the market in general. I did a end of June market update video, as I do every single month. So I want you to be very much informed as to the local market here, the Sarasota real estate, from Manatee, Sarasota, and Charlotte County areas. So I deep dive specifically to different areas whenever I'm looking at property for a buyer or a seller, so that you, if you're a buyer, are paying the least amount. If you're a seller, getting the most amount. So having a local realtor is very imperative. Don't listen to all the noise. There's always going to be noise, whether it's laws changing or lawsuits or whatever. Think about it like this, because I had a really long call yesterday with just someone that called me asking, like, can you break down like what this settlement means to the general buyer or seller? I mean, we had like a 45-minute conversation. I didn't even know this guy. And it just comes down to the same principles. So let me just break it down real quickly. So like anything, you can go, if you want to buy a Porsche, for example, you can go in and buy a Porsche, but hey, I don't want to pay for this windshield. I don't like this windshield wiper. I don't like this tire brand or whatever. But that's what makes a Porsche a Porsche. Now, you can go down the street and go talk to the Toyota dealership. Listen, there's always options. There's always options for you. It's like these condo rules. Don't buy in a community that doesn't allow. If you want weekly rentals, I might guide you toward Anna Maria. That's a great spot for weekly rental property if that's what you want. But don't turn a community into one that really just does not want to be one. So, you know, there's plenty of options here, and I would love nothing more than to be your resource for all of that stuff. And I won't guide you the wrong way. I'll do whatever's best for you. If you're purchasing or selling here, I would love nothing more than to hear from you. Please call me. If you're still listening to this video, thank you, because I know I get winded on some of these things. My cell is 941-544-7690. And if email's better, it's shaylatwit@gmail.com.